The 4 temperaments in children. Just as the 4-letter type can be generated for adults from the questionnaire presented in Chapter 1, so can type be generated in a very tentative way for children from material presented in this chapter. The identification of preferences must be especially tentative, for observation of children cannot be as accurate as the self-report of adults when what is at issue is a person's own preferences. The following sections describe ways the 4 temperaments grow up. The growing up styles of the SP, SJ, NT, and NF are described in that order. A profile of each completes the chapter under the subtitle, Learning Styles. So the second one is the Epimethean, sensible, judicious temperament in childhood. The Epimethean SJ child is more vulnerable to family instability than the other temperaments. He seeks the security of parental firmness and agreement. To be caught between one parent who is strict and one who is lenient can be devastating. He needs to know, more than others, that what is so today will be so tomorrow. For example, frequent residential changes can be unsettling to an SJ child, whereas an SP, NT, or NF child might adjust more rapidly, albeit in different ways. The SJ child needs to be raised with friends who grow up with him. He needs the same neighborhood, school system, community as he grows up. He will thrive on relating to his extended family, his aunts, uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, cousins, and so on. He will enjoy stories of family history and remember these histories when he has grown up. The SJ child does well in a large family, and having brothers and sisters usually will be a source of gratification to him, where this might not be as important to children from other groups. The SJ child is apt to enjoy having routines and usually responds to the assignment of specific responsibilities like emptying the wastebaskets, taking out the trash, sweeping away the snow, tending a small garden, cleaning his room. He needs, of course, tasks within his ability to perform and perform well, but he tends to enjoy routine maintenance chores at home and school. His source of pleasure is the approval he is given by adults as he performs these activities. This feedback is vital to the SJ. The task, as an end in itself, soon loses appeal if adult approval is not forthcoming. The SJ also responds to scolding and negative criticism, under which he tends to try all the more. Probably more than the other 3 groups, the SJ's response to physical punishment as a means of correction. Excuse me. The SJ child, as he moves into his school years, tends to adjust well to the school environment and school routine. Although the introverted SJ child may demonstrate initial shyness, the SJ children tend to thrive on the clerical methods of teaching, such as workbook completion, repetition, drill and then recitation, and answering rhetorical questions by teacher. The SJ child is likely to try rather earnestly to please the teacher and not to question the reasons for a lesson, as might an NT child. The fact that the teacher gives the direction is only sufficient reason. Of course, the SJ child thrives as little on failure as do others, but he probably has more tolerance for self-evaluated failure than for teacher-evaluated failure. If this evaluation from the teacher is negative, and if the child rarely succeeds in pleasing, the SJ child is apt to treasure his gold-starred papers, his trophies, ribbons, and badges. He enjoys the honor of being chalk monitor, line monitor, student body president, club manager. These all signify both peer and adult approval, and so are valued. The SJ children seem to enjoy clerical skill practice, such as arithmetic, reading aloud, and spelling. The factual aspects of science, geography, and history appeal to them. When the SJ student reaches middle and high school, he is apt to choose business-oriented instruction. A language increasingly becomes a work tool. Interest in literature or creative writing wanes, and he tends to avoid the sciences and advanced mathematics. He is not wildly enthusiastic about drama or debate. In college, the SJ tends to be strongly represented in business administration, accounting, teaching, nursing, and other services. SJ children are likely to enjoy going with their parents to visit relatives and get tremendous enjoyment from the traditional holidays, such as Christmas and Thanksgiving. They respond happily to a well-established, clearly defined routine, whereas constant changes, confusion, and cries cause them pain. Changing teachers at mid-year can be unsettling to an SJ child, while an SP child might thrive under the same circumstances. The SJ child is likely to value orderly closets, and his bureau drawers are apt to contain neatly folded clothes. Toys are arranged in order on the shelves. As a learner, an SJ child will respond better by being shown the new skill in a step-by-step order, being asked to demonstrate each new learning in small increments. Asking the SJ child to invent his own procedures or giving him vague directions will not inspire him, as it might an NT child. The SJ child needs to know what is expected and needs to be certain as to the procedures to accomplish the task. He thrives on consistency. Home crafts appeal to the SJ. He likes to make objects from wood, cloth, yarn, just as does the SP. But for the SJ, interest is focused on the product. The process used to produce the product, however, must be done correctly. A gift of handwork from an SJ is from the heart and is to be appreciated, treasured, and prominently displayed. The SJ learner needs constant feedback from the adults around him on how he is doing. Being right or wrong is important to an SJ child, and he wants to do things in the right way. That is, the way which will please the adult in charge. SJs pay attention to details. They hold high standards of achievement for themselves and for others. They gain satisfaction from, for example, placing the heading correctly on a paper. Good study habits are important, and study is best done on schedule. The SJ child needs his work carefully planned, clearly scheduled, and meticulously executed. The SJ child responds to verbal encouragement and needs to know that he is doing well. SJ children generally have a relatively comfortable time growing. Statistical probability suggests that they are likely to have at least one SJ parent, and an SJ child is likely to get along well with an NF or an NT parent. He might have some difficulty adjusting if he happens to have two SP parents who might be rather unpredictable. An SJ child seems to need and enjoy pleasing others, and thus he tends to be responsive to the demands of his mentors, if they are clear. These demands need not be perfectly consistent or logical, only very clear in expectations. And the SJ child responds well to praise, such as, "You are a good boy or a girl. You did that just the way I wanted. Your work is very neat. You have very good handwriting." The natural teaching style of an SJ teacher meets the learning needs of the SJ student. Focus on responsibilities, on the development of good study habits, on the development of proper social attitudes, on the completion of well-structured tasks, executed in an approved fashion. All these appeal to both SJ students and SJ teachers. The SJ child acquires knowledge through diligent searching for facts, through frequent review, lectures, and traditional teaching materials, the textbook and workbook. Commercially prepared learning materials are helpful to the SJ learner, who seems to enjoy and responds to the carefully sequenced, step-by-step presentations. Programmed learning materials seem more likely to be attractive to an SJ child than to an SP, NF, or even an NT. The SP learner wants more action. The NF child wants more human interaction, and the NT learner wants less redundancy. The SJ child thrives in a classroom where clearly defined, routinized procedures vary little day to day. The SJ child thrives in a well-ordered, quiet, organized classroom. It does not seem uncomfortable when interaction is predominantly teacher to student. Drills, rote recitations, Socratic questioning, and lectures laced with frequent illustrations of application are helpful to the SJ learner. He can even respond to rejection, sarcasm, and ridicule, although these averse maneuvers are not recommended. The SJ child is apt to worry about his schoolwork and be conscientious and dedicated to pleasing his teacher. And the next one will be the Promethean intuitive thinking temperament in childhood. This one has been the SJs. We're reading from the book Please Understand Me, Character and Temperament Types by David Kersey and Marilyn Bates. I appreciate you listening. Thank you for being with me.